Okay, we're back. Oh my god. Okay, I'm probably getting sick right now. I seriously have no idea what I'm going to talk about. I just came back from a women's march where I met one of my online friends. Her name is Aiden. Hi Aiden. It was really lovely meeting her. It was my first time going to this women's march and it was just a really great time. The funny thing is I saw this girl on the subway and she had braided red hair and she looked very identical obviously to a certain someone we know. And basically I had to like follow her to the women's march because I had no idea where it was. Yeah, that was a thing. I don't know, it's like a metaphor I guess, because Anne is such a feminist and she would obviously be going to a women's march if she were alive in this period. Anyway, hey guys, it's me, 1239 here. This is my first video in, I would say, more than a month actually. I kind of have to get used to being in front of the camera again, I guess. Not that I've ever been used to it. Today I'm going to, I've never like dedicated a full video to talking about my history with Anne and like how I discovered the books and how I like came to know of this piece of literature as well as like the movies and obviously Anne with an E. So today I'm basically gonna tell you guys that story if you guys are interested in knowing. I know that there's other people that probably have more interesting stories than I do, but if you guys want to let me know how you found out about Anne of Green Gables, did you grow up reading the books? Did you find out about Anne when you watched Anne with an E or the 80s version? Tell me your story in the comments below and let's just get into this now. So when I was about 12, I would say, that's when I like really started to get into reading, because when I was in like elementary school, meaning grade 1 to grade 8, I wasn't that much of a reader. I didn't really like reading at all. But when I hit 12, I was like, I actually like it now. And so I asked my friend what book she was interested in, like what was her favorite book at the time, and she said Anne of Green Gables. And so that was the first time I ever like heard about the book. Even though it's such a, you know, Canadian classic, anytime you hear the term Canadian literature you think automatically of Anne of Green Gables. I never read the books. Never in my adolescence had I ever touched the book. So yeah. So then when I was 15, I went on a trip with my family. We went up to Halifax, so we visited Quebec. I think we went to New Brunswick, I'm not really sure. And we also ended up going to PEI, Prince Edward Island. We were only there for a day, so it's not like I got to do anything Anne related, plus I didn't really know about anything Anne related. I just remember going for an entire day. We ran around the island and I was like the navigator and my dad was driving. I think we ended up staying in Charlottetown for that night. The next morning we got up, there was a hurricane and it was called Hurricane Arthur, so you can like search it up. It was around July of 2014 I believe, and that's when that all happened, and it was really terrifying because we had to cross the bridge to go back to leave the island. So I was only there for a day and a half. We didn't do much. We didn't do anything Anne related, which kind of sucks now that I am a very big fan of Anne and stuff like that. So then a year later, so I was like 16-ish at the time, and my mom, she asked me, because we always like to watch movies together, we always like to find movies that we both like and watch them together, and we laugh because we find a lot of things funny. She showed me Anne of Green Gables. She had never watched it before, but I think she saw like the beginning of it and she said this looks good, and so we ended up watching it and we both were like dying of laughter, and it was the 80s version. We were both dying of laughter at everything that Anne did and said, and we just found it hilarious. Like during that scene when Anne is telling Marilla her name and she doesn't want her to call her Anne, she wants her to call her Cordelia.
Well, what's your name?
Would you please call me Cordelia?
And so we both found that really hilarious for some reason. I don't know, did you guys find that hilarious if you've seen the 80s version? We ended up watching all the movies. Not all the movies. We couldn't watch the fourth one, we couldn't find it in Spanish, so we ended up watching the 3 movies in Spanish. And so that was that year, that was that summer. It was a year after I went to PEI, and I hadn't ever been to like the Anne Museum or bought raspberry cordial or anything like that. So now that I had, you know, started to love Anne of Green Gables, I was like, this is such a like wasted opportunity. Like I was there and I didn't do anything Anne related and it sucked. So for that like whole summer I was like obsessed with, you know, the 80s version. It was so cool. Megan and Jonathan, both amazing actors in that version. And then in 2017, it was I think March, because I feel like they had the posters for Anne with an E before they premiered the show. You know how like they did that in season 2, that's why I know that. So it was like right before they premiered season 1 in Canada, because season 1 came out in Canada before it came out on Netflix. So it came out I think March 18 or 19 I think. I remember leaving my house that day and there was a bus stop right near my house, and I looked at the poster that was on the bus stop and I saw Anne. That was the first time I'd ever seen anything Anne with an E related, which is kind of crazy. So I saw the picture of Amy Beth basically. That was like the first time I ever saw her face, which is so weird to say. I saw the poster and I thought, my brain automatically said, oh, that's Annie. I don't know why. Some people call Anne Annie. So I was like, oh, that's Annie. Because if they would have put Anne with an E instead of just Anne, because that's what the show was called in Canada at the time, I think they've changed that. I think now it's called Anne with an E like it is everywhere else. But at that time it was only called Anne, so there was no like distinction. Anne could be anyone basically. It wasn't Anne with an E, which is what Anne of Green Gables likes to be called, Anne Shirley. So if I would have known at the time that they were doing a remake of Anne of Green Gables, I would have obviously watched that since then, but I didn't know. So then fast forward to a few months later, it was May after I came back from Ecuador. I was on a trip and I went on YouTube. One of the first things on my recommended page from like the home recommended page, first thing that came up was Anne and Gilbert. It was an Anne and Gilbert video and I was like, what? Obviously it wasn't the 80s version, so I was like, what is this? So I looked at it and I was like, there's a new version, and then I realized that the poster that I had seen a few months ago was about Anne of Green Gables and not Annie. I've never even seen Annie before, so I have no idea why I made that correlation. Yeah, it's weird. I actually didn't watch it until I think a month after I found out that it was a thing. So at that point it had already premiered on Netflix, because it premiered on Netflix May 12th and I found out late May, like very late May, I think maybe even in June. And then I was like, okay, well, I want to replace this show with Pretty Little Liars. Like, I was actually going to make reactions to Pretty Little Liars, but then I went to Ecuador, so I was like, I can't do this anymore, because it was like the last season of Pretty Little Liars and I wanted to like react to it, but then I just like binge watched the whole entire season when I came home, I think, or something like that. Yeah, so I was like, that's out of the question now, I'm not doing that. And so I was gonna replace that with Anne. Then I was like, okay, that means I'm going to start making Anne videos. I remember doing a hangout and I talked about that, and then I remember seeing in like the comments section of the hangout that people were actually watching the show and they were genuinely liking it, and I was like, that's great, because I might like it as well and I might be doing this now. And so I filmed those reactions. I filmed 3 of them, and then I realized that it was actually coming out on TV, like they were showing reruns of Anne with an E on TV. And then I would like sit down on my bed right here and I would watch it. I don't have cable anymore, but that's when I had cable. Those were like the last few weeks that I had cable. That's when I would watch the show. And so I filmed the first 3 reactions, which were part 1 and part 2 of episode 1, and then episode 2 was the 3rd reaction. And then I didn't have enough time to film episode 3, or else you guys would have seen my reaction to episode 3, which would have been everything, because I was shook to my core when I saw that episode. It had the petting mouse scene, which, oh my god, I can't even believe that they added that in. Now, I completely regret not filming that reaction. I was like, what am I watching? Obviously the episode that Gilbert comes into the show, like, it was great. Then in August, season 2 had just been announced and I decided at that point, this is gonna be my thing. I remember tweeting it to Amy Beth, my video, my first ever video of Anne. I can't believe that was my first video. It was my season 2 renewal announcement. Right when I found out that season 2 was happening, I screamed. I was so happy. I jumped and I started filming the video, and Amy Beth was doing a live. And so that's how everything started. I know that was a very long version of how I started Anne and stuff like that. At that time, actually, I've never posted this. I don't know if I still have it. If I still have footage of this video, the day that season 2 was announced, right before it was announced, I filmed a video similar to what I'm doing right now, where I explained how I got into Anne. Today I want to discuss something that is a very big passion of mine now. It's been like that for like 2 months now. You guys will be seeing reactions to this particular show. So Anne, which is what it's called here in Canada, but I call it Anne with an E because I feel like it's more distinguishable. Does that make sense? It's more distinguishable than Anne. Anne is just a name. I feel like Anne with an E is a bit more specific to what the show is about. So yeah, I like the name better, even though it's longer. So it takes more time to type out, meaning more typos are possible. Okay, I'm weird. If this is the first video you guys are watching of me, I'm sorry. Before really falling in love with like the fandom and stuff, I have an account on Instagram. It's called Mimi with an I. That account name wasn't Mimi with an I to begin with. I didn't make my account for Anne. I don't know if you guys knew that. That account was originally a Girl Meets World fan account that I decided to make. I have no idea why. I honestly have no idea why I decided to make that fan account. I just wanted to do something on Instagram. I was already using Twitter a lot, but I was like, maybe I should do Instagram now. So I made that account. I didn't post that much, to be honest. I only posted like my edits for collabs and stuff when I started getting into Anne. That's when I changed my username from Girl Meets Mimi to Mimi with an I. I distinctly remember the first ever account that I followed that had Anne edits. I might butcher this name, but it was Astrology. I'll put it here, but like you guys probably already know that account. It was so popping. It was everything, and her edits just improved like with every edit. She was already this amazing account, but like her edits are just incredible, and so she was the first account I ever followed. Obviously another account that I followed right afterward, like in August, was Selma actually, which is wow, it was a time. And yeah, that was like my intro to the Anne fandom without really doing much, I guess. I don't know when people started being like, oh, I know you, but I think it was probably like a year ago when people started really watching my videos. I started making videos in August 2017, but I think it was around this time last year when I started getting noticed. I don't mean by the cast, but like by you guys. Even though obviously there were people that were watching me before then, but I started really feeling that interaction, connection during that time. And yeah, so that's basically the video for today. I hope you guys like this. Let me know in the comments below how you started getting into the show or your past with Anne. Did you read the books? Have you ever been to PEI? I haven't read the books yet. Still not. It's 2019. Still haven't read the books, but I will soon. I promise you. I will get into the books. I know a lot of people grew up, as I said, a lot of people grew up watching the 80s version, or they grew up reading the books. So if you're one of those people, props to you, because I wish I would have done that. Obviously, a lot of people also just started watching the show, as I said, but that's fine. It doesn't matter how you discovered Anne, it just matters that you're here now and we can, I don't know, have fun. But yeah, that's my story. Let me know in the comments below what yours is. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys for always watching. Mwah. Follow me on all my social media accounts. They should be appearing on the screen right now. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye. Mwah.
First thing we climb a tree, and maybe then we'd talk, or sit silently and listen to our thoughts.